Imagine facing a prison sentence for owning a plastic flamingo or eating ice cream while standing still. Governments claim to prioritize safety, but their obsession with control often devolves into pure absurdity. Today, we're counting down the most baffling, hilarious, and insane everyday objects that have actually been banned by authorities. This is our definitive guide to global bureaucratic madness. Welcome to the world of absurd prohibition. 1. For nearly 4 decades, pinball was treated as a public menace on par with organized crime. Starting in the 1940s, major hubs like New York and Los Angeles banned these machines, convinced they weren't games of skill, but dangerous gambling tools designed to corrupt the nation's youth. Mayor LaGuardia even staged theatrical raids, smashing machines with sledgehammers for the rolling cameras. It took until 1976 for the ban to collapse, when a pinball virtuoso named Roger Sharp famously called his shot in a courtroom, proving that precision, not luck, ruled the silver ball. 2. That neon pink plastic flamingo, the ultimate icon of American kitsch, is frequently treated like a declaration of war in the suburbs. Countless homeowners associations have written explicit bans against these harmless birds, viewing them as an existential threat to property values and neighborhood uniformity. It is a legally enforced crusade against bad taste, where choosing a splash of defiant, tacky joy over a sea of beige conformity can earn you a threatening letter from a lawyer. In the world of high-end real estate, your lawn ornaments are apparently a matter of national security. 3. That little cardboard tree dangling from your rearview mirror is more than a questionable style choice. In many states, it's a legal trap. Numerous jurisdictions outlaw hanging anything from the mirror, citing obstruction of view. It is the ultimate pretext law, a minor violation that gives police a convenient excuse to pull you over and investigate further. In a world of massive infotainment screens and dashboard-mounted phones, a 3-inch piece of scented paper is somehow considered a catastrophic vision hazard. It's an expensive way to make your car smell like a fake forest. 4. The backyard barbecue grill, that quintessential symbol of summer and freedom, is actually a dangerous weapon in the eyes of city bureaucrats. In thousands of apartment complexes and condos, grilling on your own private balcony is strictly outlawed. While officials cite fire safety, the deeper truth is usually buried in insurance liability and a desire to avoid nuisance complaints. This has created a sad reality where aspiring grill masters are forced to use soulless, plug-in electric grills that offer all the primal excitement and smoky flavor of a high-powered desk lamp. 5. For decades, the flimsy plastic shopping bag was the invisible servant of our consumer culture. Then, almost overnight, it was rebranded as Public Enemy Number 1. A global memo seemingly went out, declaring a holy war on this symbol of convenience and casting it as an apocalyptic villain. The irony of this grand greenwashing theater is that we are now sold much thicker, reusable bags, often made in the same factories, transforming what was once a free convenience into a branded, paid-for chore. We didn't save the planet, we just monetized the trash. 6. The hoodie, a garment synonymous with comfort, has been officially blacklisted in countless public spaces across the West. Malls, banks, and schools have implemented strict hoods-down policies, treating the act of covering one's head as a confession of criminal intent. This isn't a critique of fashion, it's security theater. By profiling a piece of cotton, authorities have decided that anyone seeking a little warmth or privacy is automatically a suspect. The humble sweatshirt has been transformed from a cozy staple into a symbol of urban suspicion and bureaucratic paranoia. 7. That reassuring voice from your GPS warning you about upcoming speed cameras is actually illegal in France. The government passed a law banning any device capable of pinpointing the exact location of speed traps. The system isn't allowed to save your wallet. It's only permitted to vaguely warn you that you're entering a danger zone where a camera might exist. It's a brilliant piece of legislation designed to ensure that a tool created for transparency gives you just enough information to make you paranoid, but not enough to actually be useful. 8. Remember when a B- felt like a personal insult? Educational consultants decided you were right, and they blamed the teacher's red pen. It has been officially reclassified as an instrument of psychological warfare. The theory suggests the color red is too aggressive, causing emotional shrapnel for a child's delicate psyche. This forced a massive shift toward the nurturing embrace of purple or green ink. Now, academic failure is delivered with the therapeutic gentleness of a yoga session, ensuring that every correction feels more like a suggestion than a mistake. 9. In the pristine seaside town of Carmel, California, buying an ice cream cone comes with a very specific legal hurdle. Thanks to a famously unrepealed law, it is technically illegal to eat ice cream while standing still on the sidewalk. You can eat it inside and you can eat it while walking, but stopping to savor the flavor is a municipal offense. This town is so committed to its curated fairy tale aesthetic that even a stationary moment of simple, sugary pleasure is considered a threat to the local atmosphere. 10. Heelys, the sneakers with a hidden wheel in the heel, offered kids a glorious hybrid form of transportation for about 5 minutes. Then, they were banned from practically every mall, school, and supermarket on Earth. These shoes turned every child into an unpredictable, low-to-the-ground liability nightmare. The ban wasn't just about suppressing fun. It was a desperate act of self-preservation by store managers who were tired of preteens silently rocketing into displays of canned peaches at 20 miles per hour. It was the shortest-lived transportation revolution in history. 11. The humble clothesline, a symbol of frugal living and the fresh scent of the outdoors, is treated as a suburban eyesore by the ultimate American villain, the Homeowners Association. Across thousands of gated communities, air drying your laundry is a punishable offense. The rationale is a bizarre cocktail of class anxiety and property value obsession, disguised as maintaining neighborhood aesthetics. In the land of the free, you aren't allowed to use the sun and wind to dry your socks if it offends a neighbor's delicate sensibilities. It's a legally enforced war against the laws of physics. 12. Electric scooters arrived in our cities like a utopian promise of clean, effortless transport. That dream lasted exactly 1 week. After a chaotic wave of them being abandoned on sidewalks, tossed into rivers, and terrorizing pedestrians, the global ban hammer came down. From Paris to Madrid, these high-tech toys went from the future of mobility to digital tumbleweeds in record time. They are now either strictly outlawed or restricted into oblivion, proving that we can't have nice things if those things can be tripped over by an angry commuter. 13. In Malaysia, for a time, the color yellow was officially classified as an act of sedition. In 2016, the government banned wearing yellow clothing after protesters demanding electoral reform adopted it as their signature uniform. The state decided the most effective way to crush a movement was to simply outlaw its branding. Suddenly, a basic t-shirt wasn't a fashion choice. It was a political statement that could land you in a jail cell. It's a level of petty, chromatic control that is both terrifyingly authoritarian and deeply ridiculous. 14. America's most delicious felony is the Kinder Surprise egg. Due to a 1938 law banning non-nutritive objects inside candy, the U.S. treats these chocolate treats like contraband. The FDA essentially believes American children are incapable of distinguishing between milk chocolate and a small plastic toy. This leads to the absurdity of border agents seizing eggs and issuing thousands of dollars in fines for smuggling dangerous sweets. While the rest of the planet survives their snacks, the U.S. maintains its chocolate-covered blockade against these tiny plastic threats. 15. You know that romantic movie trope where the hero is surrounded by a charming flock of birds in a city square? Try that today, and you'll get a ticket for feeding the rats with wings. Major cities worldwide have waged a cold, calculated war on pigeons, rebranding them from urban fauna to biological hazards. It's a systematic effort to repel these birds using everything from architectural spikes to trained hawks acting as feathered bouncers. The symbol of peace has officially been downgraded to a public nuisance that must be biologically erased. 16. For nearly a century, the simple act of moving your body to music was a crime in Elmore City, Oklahoma. Enacted in the late 1800s during a moral panic, the ban declared dancing a sinful path to societal decay. This wasn't some dusty, forgotten rule. It was actively enforced until 1980. It took a group of defiant high school students to formally challenge the town's leadership just to hold a junior prom. They literally had to win a legal battle for the right to dance, turning a 1980s teen movie plot into a reality. 17. In cities like Chicago, buying art supplies feels like a high-stakes smuggling operation. To combat graffiti, they treat a standard can of spray paint with the same suspicion as a brick of plutonium. The cans are kept behind reinforced plexiglass, requiring a full ID check just to make a purchase. The law operates on the cynical assumption that your plan to touch up some patio furniture is just a cover story for a secret life of urban vandalism, turning a simple trip to the hardware store into a minor police interrogation. 18. The garbage disposal, that screaming, metal-toothed goblin living under your sink, is a marvel of American convenience. But in much of Europe, it's an illegal alien. Many countries have banned these devices, not because they're dangerous, but because their ancient sewer systems simply can't handle a pulverized buffet of potato peels. It's a stark reminder that the American dream of grinding up your problems and washing them away doesn't work on a continent built on centuries-old pipes that prioritize history over high-speed waste management. 19. High heels are strictly forbidden at many of Greece's most iconic ancient sites, including the Acropolis. This isn't a fashion critique or a weirdly specific dress code. It's an act of structural preservation. The sharp, concentrated pressure from a stiletto heel can actually puncture and crack the 2,500-year-old marble. Officials were forced to choose between the integrity of Western civilization's greatest monuments and the footwear choices of tourists. In the battle between ancient history and Jimmy Choo, the marble wins every single time. 20. To the totalitarian regime in North Korea, a simple pair of blue jeans is more than just clothing. It's a symbol of American imperialism. The state has an official ban on denim, alongside specific hairstyles and piercings, as part of a crusade against capitalist influence. While other trousers are acceptable, the iconic blue fabric of individualism and freedom is seen as a sign of a corrupted mind. In this world, your pants are a loud political statement, and wearing the wrong shade of blue is enough to mark you as a class enemy. 21. In France, the sanctity of national cuisine is essentially a matter of state security, and the greatest threat to that heritage is apparently ketchup. In 2011, the government actually restricted the use of the red stuff in school cafeterias, allowing it only with French fries and strictly once a week. The official goal? To protect traditional French culinary tastes from Americanization and promote healthy eating. It's a bizarrely high-stakes battle over a condiment, where the state decides your child hasn't earned the right to dunk a nugget until Friday. 22. The wheeled suitcase, the literal savior of travelers' spines, was nearly banished from the historic streets of Venice. Officials became so enraged by the incessant clack-clack-clack of hard plastic wheels echoing through the canals that they drafted a law to fine offenders €500. The proposed solution was to only allow luggage with silent, air-filled rubber tires. While the plan was eventually scrapped after a global PR nightmare, it remains a hilariously petty moment where a city almost declared war on the very concept of convenient rolling luggage. 23. We've all used the phrase, greatest thing since sliced bread. But for a brief, dark period during World War II, the US government actually labeled it a national menace. In 1943, pre-sliced loaves were banned to conserve wax paper and steel for the war effort. The public response wasn't just negative, it was a full-scale revolt by frustrated housewives. The government backpedaled so aggressively that the ban was repealed in under 2 months. Lesson learned. You can ask for many sacrifices, but you do not touch the sandwich convenience. 24. The gentle slap of rubber on pavement is the universal soundtrack of a beach vacation. But in Spain or France, it's the sound of a potential criminal act. Driving in flip-flops is effectively illegal there, as local laws assume your relaxed footwear choice makes you a public menace behind the wheel. It turns your laziest fashion decision into a high-stakes gamble with the traffic police. This level of micromanagement suggests that if you aren't wearing sensible, state-approved shoes, your relaxed state of mind is a threat to everyone on the road. 25. A simple balloon, the quintessential symbol of a birthday party, is now being prosecuted as an environmental crime in a growing number of places. That joyful act of releasing a bunch of them into the sky, once a staple of weddings and memorials, is now strictly illegal in states like California and Florida. Why? Because gravity is a buzzkill. What goes up must come down as non-biodegradable trash. This has transformed a classic gesture of celebration into a finable offense, proving that our most uplifting moments often end as a latex snack for a sea turtle. 26. Those festive Christmas lights that bring cheer to a dark winter are often governed by rules that would make even Scrooge blush. In many American suburbs, homeowners associations dictate the exact calendar dates you're allowed to be festive. If your inflatable Santa is still standing at 12:01 a.m. on January 15th, you're looking at a certified letter and a hefty fine. It's a level of micromanagement so intense, it turns a symbol of holiday joy into a source of passive-aggressive legal threats and neighborhood surveillance. 27. The selfie stick, that infamous telescopic wand of narcissism, was once an inescapable plague at every tourist trap. Then, the world collectively snapped. Disney parks, major museums, and music festivals all issued total bans on the device. The reasons were a perfect mix of, "This is incredibly annoying," and "This is a genuine safety hazard in a dense crowd." There's something beautiful about seeing a product so universally loathed and so physically impractical that it gets itself systematically erased from public life by popular demand. 28. There are few things that terrify suburban city councils more than teenage fashion trends. When a generation of kids started letting their pants hang low, local governments didn't just grumble. They wrote actual laws against saggy pants. Cities across the US launched a crusade against visible underwear, turning the fashion police trope into real ticket-writing officers. They dedicated actual tax dollars and court time to this moral emergency, proving that when bureaucracy has too much time on its hands, your wardrobe becomes a potential crime scene. 29. Dodgeball, the cherished schoolyard ritual of sanctioned violence and character-building humiliation, has officially been labeled a dangerous activity. School districts across America have banned the game, citing concerns that it's a form of legalized bullying that encourages unnecessary aggression. We have officially entered an era where the act of hurling a squishy red ball at a friend is considered too traumatic for the modern child to process. It makes you wonder what's next on the chopping block: competitive tag or high-stakes hide-and-seek. 30. A simple yo-yo, one of the most timeless and harmless toys ever conceived, was once blamed for a literal natural disaster. In the 1930s, Damascus, Syria, officially banned yo-yos because community leaders became convinced the up-and-down motion was offending the heavens and causing a massive drought. This wasn't a prank. It was a desperate state policy to bring back the rain. When your top-tier solution for a water crisis involves arresting a child's toy, you might have some deeper structural issues to address. 31. To the untrained eye, it's just a grocery list: eggs, toilet paper, and shaving cream. But in dozens of American towns around late October, that's the starter kit for suburban mayhem. To combat Mischief Night, many municipalities have enacted bans on minors possessing these items, turning household basics into circumstantial evidence. It's a legal framework that forces every cashier to eye a teenager buying ingredients for a cake with the same intense suspicion they'd reserve for someone trying to purchase a crate of illegal fireworks. 32. In the Australian state of Victoria, one of the easiest ways to break the law on a Sunday morning is to simply clean up. Strict noise ordinances forbid the use of a vacuum cleaner before 9 a.m. on weekends, turning a tool of instant gratification into a source of legally mandated patience. If you spill a box of cereal at 8:45, the law demands that you, the vacuum, and the mess sit in a tense 5-minute standoff until the clock strikes 9. It's the ultimate victory of bureaucracy over common sense. 33. Singapore didn't just dislike chewing gum, it declared a total, scorched earth war on it. In 1992, the country banned the import and sale of gum to keep public spaces pristine after vandals used it to jam subway doors. The government's solution wasn't better cleaning. It was total prohibition. For years, the only legal way to get a piece of gum was through a literal doctor's prescription for therapeutic purposes. It remains the world's most famous reminder of what happens when a nanny state meets a sticky situation. 34. Homemade mayonnaise is essentially treated like a biological weapon in many professional kitchens across North America. Health codes in parts of the US and Canada are so terrified of salmonella that they effectively outlaw restaurants from whipping up their own signature mayo from scratch. They are legally tethered to the pasteurized, factory-sealed variety produced in a lab. That house-made aioli you're enjoying might actually be a delicious form of culinary contraband. It's a world where a chef's skill is legally secondary to the safety standards of a massive chemical processing plant. 35. Jigsaw puzzles are usually the definition of a quiet, meditative pastime. However, if you were a child in a certain British town during the 1960s, they were considered an addictive menace. The local council briefly banned the sale of puzzles with more than 10 pieces to minors, fearing the activity was so engrossing it would trigger a craze and distract children from their schoolwork. It was the 1960s equivalent of today's moral panic over screen time, treating a 500-piece landscape like it was a gateway to a life of total academic ruin. 36. The fortune cookie, that crunchy oracle of the American Chinese restaurant, has been officially classified as a serious security risk. In several high-security prisons, these cookies are strictly considered contraband. The official rationale: the tiny paper fortunes inside could be used by inmates to smuggle coded, untraceable messages. Imagine a hardened prison warden desperately trying to decipher, "You will soon embark on a new journey." Is that an elaborate escape plan or just a vague platitude? The potential for bureaucratic paranoia is truly endless. 37. The ability to recline your airplane seat, a function literally built into the chair, has been effectively neutralized by several airlines. Not by changing the seats, but by banning devices like the knee defender. This gadget allows passengers to lock the seat in front of them, preventing it from moving an inch. By outlawing the countermeasure but keeping the original function, airlines have ensured that the passive-aggressive war for 2 inches of personal space continues to be fought at 30,000 feet. It is a masterclass in the engineering of human discomfort. 38. That buy one, get one free sticker, the sacred symbol of the savvy shopper, is actually illegal in certain parts of the developed world. In Belgium, for example, these BOGO deals were banned for years under laws designed to protect small businesses from the predatory pricing of retail giants. The government essentially outlawed the concept of a good deal in the name of economic fairness. It's a noble idea that results in the very real, very annoying experience of having to pay full price for both of your frozen pizzas. 39. The classic image of a single goldfish swimming in a small, round bowl is now legally defined as a portrait of animal cruelty. In cities like Rome, keeping a goldfish in a traditional bowl is illegal, as it's believed to be detrimental to the fish's physical health and psychological well-being. You are legally required to provide your aquatic pet with a proper rectangular tank. It's a surprisingly progressive law that forces us to admit that for decades, our favorite starter pet was actually living through a form of slow, scenic torture. 40. In 1999, the National Security Agency identified a terrifying new threat to American intelligence: the Furby. These fuzzy, talking toys were officially banned from all NSA premises out of concern that the big-eyed creatures could record classified discussions and repeat state secrets. The hilarious irony is that Furbies had zero ability to record or transmit audio. Their learning was just a clever programming trick. The world's most sophisticated codebreakers were officially spooked by a children's toy that couldn't have kept a secret even if it wanted to. 41. Marmite, the famously divisive yeast spread, lives by the slogan, "Love it or hate it." For a while, the government of Denmark officially chose to hate it. The country banned the sale of Marmite because of a rigid law restricting foods fortified with added vitamins. The beloved British import was treated like an unregulated, dangerous nutritional supplement and pulled from every grocery shelf in the country. It's a perfect example of a regulation so inflexible that it can't distinguish between a pharmaceutical threat and a simple piece of morning toast. 42. That clear plastic water bottle you grab without a second thought is now forbidden territory in a growing number of jurisdictions. Entire towns, college campuses, and even U.S. national parks have outlawed the sale of single-use plastic bottles to combat environmental waste. This creates the modern paradox of being forced to purchase a branded, reusable plastic bottle, likely shipped from halfway across the world, just so you can fill it up at a public fountain. We've turned a basic human necessity into a high-stakes game of logistical planning. 43. Governments worldwide looked at the warm, inviting glow of the incandescent light bulb, a symbol of a bright idea for over a century, and decided to extinguish it forever. In a global push for energy efficiency, the classic bulb was systematically banned, forcing humanity into a cold new relationship with the flickering, soulless ambiance of early-generation LEDs. It was an officially mandated breakup with a specific quality of light, representing a hard assault on our collective nostalgia and our fundamental right to a cozy, well-lit living room. 44. You're at a food festival, holding a steaming container of gourmet street food, but you have nothing to eat it with. The humble plastic fork has been effectively assassinated. In a sweeping act of continental inconvenience, the EU and Canada outlawed a whole suite of single-use plastics, launching a frustrating new era of dining on the go. Now, we are forced to use flimsy wooden sporks that taste faintly but unmistakably of splinters and disappointment, proving that saving the planet apparently requires us to eat like we're at a very sad summer camp. 45. Switzerland is a nation obsessed with order, and that obsession extends directly into your bathroom. In many apartment buildings, it is technically against the rules to flush your toilet after 10 p.m. This isn't an ancient quirk. It's a modern noise control regulation designed to ensure residents have a peaceful night's sleep. While you won't be hauled off in handcuffs, the rule is strictly enforced by neighbors and landlords. It creates an awkward late-night dilemma, forcing a choice between common decency and personal hygiene in the name of national silence. 46. That popular camouflage pattern you see on cargo shorts and designer jackets is not a fashion statement in the Caribbean. It's illegal attire. In countries like Barbados and Jamaica, wearing any camo print is strictly reserved for military personnel. This isn't just a suggestion. Tourists have been fined and even arrested for the crime of wearing military-style patterns. The law operates on the bizarre assumption that a vacationer in baggy shorts could be mistaken for a soldier, turning a simple packing decision into a potential threat to national security. 47. The simple act of putting your hands together to show appreciation has been deemed problematic in some elite academic circles. Several universities and student unions in the UK have voted to ban audible clapping at events, encouraging the use of silent jazz hands instead. The official line is that the noise can be triggering for students with anxiety or sensory issues. We have successfully engineered a world where the sound of spontaneous applause is considered a microaggression, replacing a universal human gesture with a choreographed silent wave. 48. Naming your own child seems like a fairly basic human right, but not in Denmark. The Danish government maintains an official list of roughly 7,000 pre-approved baby names. If you want to name your child something that isn't on the list, you have to submit a formal application for special permission. Creative spellings and unique titles aren't just discouraged. They are subject to a bureaucratic review process. It is the ultimate nanny state, acting as your child's first editor before they've even left the hospital. We like to think we're free, but we're actually living in a regulated sandbox designed by people who are terrified of clotheslines and ketchup. It's time for a verdict. Which of these bureaucratic nightmares is officially the dumbest thing you've ever heard? Don't hold back. Defend your pick in the comments. Subscribe and hit like if you're tired of being treated like a toddler by the state.